Get ready, because today I'm going to talk about the two different types of character flaws. I'm going to explain what they are, why your main character needs them, and how your main character can become even more interesting by trying to justify their flaws. Stick around. What's up, guys? My name is Brandon McNulty. I'm a writer, I'm the author of Bad Parts, and welcome to my writing channel. Earlier this year I did a video on character flaws and how to use them in your story, and also how to tie in character lies. And if that's something you might be interested in, I'll link it up here as well as in the description below. But today I want to take things a step further. I want to look at the two different types of character flaws. And these come from John Truby's book, The Anatomy of Story. I've talked about this on the program a few times before, but in this book, John Truby describes the two types of character flaws as these psychological flaws and moral flaws. Now, I'm not crazy about that terminology. I think it's a little too scholarly. I want to simplify it a little bit. So instead of psychological flaws, I'm going to refer to them as innocent flaws. And instead of moral flaws, I'm going to refer to them as selfish flaws. So we have innocent and selfish flaws. Now, the first one of these, the innocent flaw, is something that is not necessarily a malicious thing, and it usually doesn't hurt anyone other than the character who possesses it. For instance, if you have a character with a gambling problem and maybe they take their paycheck every week, and instead of spending it on like healthy food or the rent or some things they actually need, they all blow it on the Jaguars or something like that. And don't ever do that. But the important thing is that you have a character who, they have this innocent flaw and it's not necessarily hurting anyone other than them. Another example of this would be materialism. Maybe you have a character who they covet all these things, like, oh, they want the fanciest cars and the new iPhone and the best TV on the market. They want all these things, and it's not necessarily a horrible, terrible flaw that is hurting everyone around them, but it's something that is causing them to have a life that isn't as good as it could be. Now, on the other hand, if you take these innocent flaws, they can actually lead into those selfish flaws I mentioned earlier. If you have an innocent flaw like our gambler, for instance, and instead of just spending this week's paycheck on football, instead of that, maybe the gambler just empties out his bank account, goes into the red, spends every dollar he has trying to chase money or win big or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden he realizes that he has to steal from his family in order to get money and try to win his money back. And that would become a problem. That would be where he's hurting other people. Now, if we look at our materialist, and remember, this is a person who wants all the high-tech stuff, all the new gadgets, the new cars, whatever it is, values material goods. Not a terrible thing until it spills over and starts hurting people. Let's say, for instance, our materialist goes to Thanksgiving dinner. It's the first time all year that this character has seen his family, and while he's sitting there at Thanksgiving dinner, he sees a tweet about how they're giving away TVs at Best Buy for $300 off, gets up, leaves, lets the family alone, and this is something that would insult his family, insult those around him, just piss them off at a meal that should be, valued among the people he cares about most. And this would be just devaluing humanity as a flaw. So these two types of flaws can influence one another, and I think it's very important that you give your main character at least one innocent flaw and at least one selfish flaw. Bonus points if you connect the two together, and extra bonus points if you do this next thing I want to talk about. And this is something that can really make your characters become interesting, just complex beings. And what you do is you consider that selfish flaw. Whatever your character does that's selfish, you have them try to justify it to the people around them. So let me give you an example to illustrate what I mean. In the Star Wars prequel trilogy, in Episode 3, Anakin, of course, turns to the dark side. He does this because he gives in to his anger, he follows the Emperor, and he goes off and he's killing Jedi, men, women, younglings, you name it. He's killing them all. And he does this because he's been giving in to his innocent flaw of fear. And this fear is something that builds up, and he fears for the life of Padme and his unborn children. So as you can see, as he's going around killing people later on in the story, he's doing this for the reason of protecting his family. This is something we also see in The Godfather, which is a movie where Michael Corleone wants to protect his family at any cost. Okay, he'll do it for anything, that's great. But then we see his selfish desire for revenge come into play, and this is where he's willing to kill off all the members of other families in order to gain power and in order to protect his family. Oftentimes, supporting your family or supporting loved ones is a key reason for rationalizing the selfish things you do. You can come up with other more creative ones, but this is one that a lot of people can resonate with. So if you are going to try and come up with a character who's very complex, maybe like a darker character, try to fall back on something emotional that can connect them to the members of your audience, so that your audience doesn't just see them as this mean-spirited evil person. And remember, if you want to get the most out of your characters, be sure to give them innocent flaws as well as selfish flaws, and try to see if you can justify those selfish flaws over the course of your story. That'll help you build compelling characters that your audience can't get enough of. So I hope this helps. Question of the day: what is your main character's selfish flaw, and how do they go about justifying it? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. Hit the like and subscribe buttons for me. Share this video with a friend. Pick up a copy of Bad Parts if you haven't already. And as always, remember to keep on writing.